Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday Talk within the Nine-Sided Circle. I'm one of your two hosts, Noor Kyle.
And I'm the other one of your two hosts, Mushtaq Ali.
And, we both want to thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us here live. We have a lot of people joining in on Zoom, and of course, we're going to have you guys who are going to be joining us on the replay on YouTube. So, thank you. We are so happy that you're here. Do you have anything you want to add, Mushtaq?
Well, we have the YouTube spiel that we have to put
Yes.
in.
Yep, we got to do our spiel.
So, allow me to do the spiel. So, if this is your first time visiting us on YouTube, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome anyway. And we would like to invite you to, first of all, subscribe to our channel. It would be great if you did. We are in a project right now to get enough subscriptions that we can monetize our videos so that we can turn off the monetization and you don't have to look at commercials, which unfortunately right now we have no control over. So join us in sticking it to the man by subscribing to our channel.
Yes,
And
please.
we would also really love it if you liked our video. We get, sometimes a couple hundred views on a video and only 10 or 12 likes. So it would really help us. And it's a little thing if you like our video and help us deal with the YouTube algorithm. And if you didn't like the video, feel free to hate it. Hit the hate button and leave a comment telling us why you didn't like it.
Yeah, if you liked it, tell us why you like it if you feel up for it. If you didn't like it, we could really use that feedback too.
Yeah, it helps us to know how people are responding to our videos because then we can make them better. But if we don't know what y'all think, then
Then we just kind of go with what we think we should do.
yeah,
And, feedback is good.
yeah, because sometimes we think of the dumbest things.
And sometimes some pretty cool things, we'd like to
Yeah,
think. So, you know, credit where
yeah.
credit is due.
And also, you can, for a very little amount of money, uh, get one of the Nine-Sided Circle t-shirts. You'll find the link down in the description. And you could go there, you could get the t-shirt. It doesn't even say Nine-Sided Circle on it. It's just our incredibly cool Enneagram logo, which anybody could sport around. And it's a great conversation starter because people look at it and go, what the heck is that? And the next thing you know, you've talked to them for an hour.
Made a friend. I've actually
Made a
had that
friend.
happen, yeah.
Yes.
So,
So feel free to get some Nine-Sided Circle swag. And that's it. That's all we have for promoting ourselves.
all right, so the topic at hand, Mushtaq, we are going to be talking about meaning in relation to the work. What do we mean by that, and how is it relevant? And we'll find that it is extremely relevant to the work. In fact, it is necessary to the work in some ways.
Yes. When Gurdjieff talks about meaning, he uses, or he is translated with a different term, which is aim, but it's synonymous with the idea of meaning. And meaning's an interesting word because, oh yes, thank you, Ravi, for reminding me about that. We just turned on the live transcript so that if I mumble, you can still read it and all of that kind of stuff. Where was I? Oh yes, meaning. The meaning of meaning, if you look up the word, it's actually part of the Indo-European language group. When you look at Indo-European languages, you get all the way back and you find the roots of the word meaning in that. So it's not a loan word from some other language, and it's almost synonymous with intention. So if we look at the Middle English of it, it means to intend, to have in mind. And again, from the Old English, it's to intend, intend to do something. The Proto-West Germanic, it means to signify. And in the Old Saxon, it also means to intend. So we have this idea of intention and meaning coming together throughout the history of this word. By the 14th century, it means to have intentions of a specific kind towards a person or thing. And we find that meaning is something that is very important. And here's the thing. You can ask questions like, what is the meaning of the universe? And the answer to this is, the universe has no meaning. The universe doesn't need a meaning. The universe just is. And that's a good thing, because if the universe had some sort of objective meaning, that means that we would be stuck with it. But we, each of us humans, create meaning. You could say we are the meaning-making organs of the universe. And when I say humans, I don't leave out any other sentient life elsewhere that are also meaning makers. We were having a discussion earlier. Do dolphins have meaning in their lives? And the answer is we don't know, because we don't speak dolphin.
Yep, unfortunately, we don't know.
Yes, and the methane-breathing reptilioids of Alpha Centauri probably also make meaning. But we also don't know that, because we ain't there and we can't talk to them.
Which is a damn shame. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
But in the meantime, we gotta focus on what we got in front of us.
Yes.
And it is because we don't have contact, if there is any such thing as a meaning of the universe, because we aren't able to really connect with that, if it exists or not. This gives us the opportunity and the room to be able to create our own meaning.
And we have to start there. We have to start with, what is your meaning? I look at Jonathan and I say, Jonathan, what is your meaning? What is the aim of your life? Where are you going?
Okay, so I have a life aim.
Yes.
My life aim is to awaken. And I'm hoping that this place that I'm trying to get to is going to be full of meaning. And then I think about that and I'm like, well, that's somewhere very far away. But really what counts to me is the path that I'm taking to get to this aim. As long as the path that I'm on has enough moments of meaning for me, I don't know if I really need an aim or if I really need to even get to this place of meaning.
Yeah, and we run into, of course, the linguistic problem, because there is no place of meaning. There is no place that you can get to. There is no room in your house that has meaning in it. And that's probably the first thing you have to realize in dealing with meaning, is that it's not something that you get to. You create it. You literally create it. And you've done that with your aim. It sounds to me as if you have found the idea of awakeness to be meaningful towards you, to you. And your aim to move in that direction says that I'm taking action from my meaning. And one way to think about that is the aim is the action that develops from the meaning, the active force, as it were. Does that make sense, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm going to have to probably replay that and hear that a few times.
Yeah,
You
and
put a
feel
new
free to
twist
tell
on
me
it.
that I'm full of shit too, because I'm riffing off of your experience on this, and I could be completely wrong. It has been known to happen. Not often, but it does happen. Nor will tell you that I'm rarely wrong more than 6 times a day.
You still are right more than you're wrong. Absolutely, 100% can guarantee that to be true.
So, now, as this relates to the work, in order to be in the work, your meaning must align with the work. In Jonathan's case, it does. If your meaning might be to get really rich and to have lots and lots of money and to have more money than Jeff Bezos and all of that, that probably wouldn't align with the work. It doesn't preclude it, but that is not necessarily conducive to being awake, if that makes sense to y'all. So, to be in the work, in the sense of what we mean by being in the work, you must have a meaning that aligns with the outcomes of the work. And the outcomes of the work is awakening. It is abiding non-dual awareness. It is to be awake in this present moment, and to move away from one's conditioned self to the natural deconditioned self. And when we say the work isn't for everybody, that's what we mean, because a lot of people don't want that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are focused on the material, the tangibles, as you mentioned, money, sexual partners. I mean, all of which could be accumulated in an awake way. But so rarely that happens. And even in using the word accumulated, it's as if we're talking about objects, which again would be antithetical to the approach within the work.
So, how do you find your meaning? This is not a rhetorical question. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Somebody fell off.
Well, I don't know what's going on there. I think they're just having connection issues and then they pop back in.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, how do you find your meaning? How
Yeah,
many
just-
people here have a clear sense of their meaning?
You can raise your hand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of you.
And some people may be too shy to say.
Yeah. Yep, Sheree says bad connection here today. No problem. We're just glad you're able to be here in the capacity you're able to be here. Okay, so Chris, what's one way that you uncover meaning?
I've followed where my compassion has led me and where my curiosity has led me. And that's the goal.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And there is no wrong meaning, by the way. You cannot have a wrong meaning. You have your meaning in this sense. Because it all starts out with the personal meaning.
Found personal meaning in being a good ancestor.
What does that mean? It sounds good.
Being helpful when I'm dead. And I have
Did you catch that, Mushtak?
No, half of it faded out, and at the same time, the Jingle Jingle Man is ringing under my window.
Popsicles. Yeah.
Yes, not just any popsicles.
But
True
Chris-
Mexican paletas. They are so good.
Paellitas, yes. Anyway, I definitely want to hear what Chris was
Yes.
saying in one, whether we have to read it or maybe we could get it through. Are you up for trying again?
Yeah, being helpful even when I'm not alive.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's being a good ancestor.
Yeah. To those that come after you? Yeah. And I think that's, value judgments are not really what this is about, but I admire that. So I think that's really cool. Dave, would you like to share how you found meaning?
Yes, I used to worry a lot about meaning, and I managed to misplace that habit, which was nice. I found it firstly by finding what I did not want to do, and then having an experience with finding something very strong that I did want to do, and then having that change, and then going through and finding something else that gave me that same type of I guess you could say it creates a certain increased incidence of being more lucid when you're doing it, and there's a different feel in the body. And so I've kind of been following these breadcrumbs around different places, and then throughout all of that process, my intention stabilized quite clearly. And yeah, like I can feel in the body when I'm in line with whatever you want to call it or not. And so I just kind of follow that around, and things that I need kind of just pop up when they're needed. So it's not a particularly logical thought related process, but it has a very clear intention. And whenever I find something either new or it comes back kind of boomerang style, something that I chucked out that then comes back again for me, it always is still the same thing, if that makes sense. It's not a kind of, I don't have to contrive to be there, it just fits in. And sometimes it was that I tried to put it in out of sequence, but I don't know, there's just this clear coherence there. The word that Mushtaq used somewhere, something about quantum anomaly, something. Life gets more auspicious in a particular way, and if you follow that, the meaning becomes distilled, condensed. Whereas if you don't, it goes diffuse, and then you start to I don't really lose the kind of intention anymore. When I used to in the past, I'd kind of dissipate and then have to chase it around anymore. It just kind of slows down or goes quicker depending on how much I'm going down the line with it. So yeah, but I did think for many, many thousands of hours about meaning when I was in high school and university. It didn't really get me anywhere.
Not too surprising, but yeah, that's really useful, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, and you touched on something that's very important, which is the felt sense in your body. Because that is telling. It's one thing for your head to think it, but if your head and your body are in agreement, it is much more likely that you're on to something.
Do you think your head can talk you out of it? Or, like, scare you away from it?
Oh, yeah, of course it can.
Yeah. So that's why it pays to be noticing.
And so, this is how you get schools. When you get a whole bunch of people together who have meanings that are compatible and moving in the same direction. They don't have to be identical. They don't have to be even terribly similar in 90% of what they are. But they do have to have a common core that says, hey, we're all going in this direction. It's like people who show up to these talks want to be awake. If that makes sense to you.
So that would be something we all generally share in common, despite having more varying, contextual language behind that, or in front of it, rather. I say in front of it because, again, as Mushtaq is saying, we're talking about the core that we share. The underlying motivational juice.
So,
I can say something.
yes, please.
If I may. So I have my sensations, and I have my thoughts, and I have my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all there is to me. I believe that's all there is to all of us. But if I ask myself, is there meaning in my sensations? I don't think so. Is there meaning in my thoughts? I don't think so. To me, all my meaning is wrapped up in my emotions. And for an emotion to feel meaningful for me, I'm looking for a positive emotion, not a negative emotion. So something with joy or humor or beauty or sadness. It's not that my sensations are not valuable to me. My sensations might lead me to experience a positive emotion. I might be eating something heavenly, or I might be reading something or listening to something fascinating, so my thoughts are going, but the meaning is that I'm just using my thoughts to bring meaning to me. It has to me, meaning is an emotion.
Okay. So, a dog runs up and bites you on the ass. Does that or does that not have meaning?
Yes, it has significance to my physical well-being.
Yeah. And does it not have meaning before you have feelings about it?
It happens simultaneously. The
Does
sensation,
it?
I don't know.
I know you don't know.
I'm working on this right now in my life, trying to figure
Yeah.
out the timing of this.
Yeah. Let me suggest to you that it is possible that you have placed some severe limitations on yourself by saying, only my feelings are meaningful. Because you're cutting out 2/3 of your life if you do that. Your feelings are important, and they can certainly inform your meaning. And you also have perhaps a problem with the idea of positive and negative emotions, because you seem to be defining, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be defining positive emotions as emotions that make you feel good, and negative emotions as emotions that make you not feel good, make you feel some other way than good. And yet I would submit to you that fundamentally, all emotions are neither positive nor negative. It's all
Yeah.
contextual.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was hoping we would mention that.
Yeah, that's an important thing to mention, because, so for instance, disgust. People think disgust is a negative emotion, but disgust is what keeps you from eating bad food. And disgust can come from texture, it can come from aroma, it can come from visual context, it can come from sound, any number of things. And it is a way that your feelings say to you, this thing over here, it's not good for you. Stay away from that. And that's a very positive thing. Happiness, on the other hand, can be a very negative thing, because there are some people who are addicted to happiness and they will do anything to be happy. And they tend to become amphetamine addicts, or take too much MDMA or any of the other drugs that produce senses of happiness and well-being. Does that make sense, Jonathan?
Yes, it does. But I did pick very careful emotions in my example,
Yeah.
because I felt these were ones that help me to be in a more lucid state. So I picked beauty, and I said sadness, but I didn't mean it in the negative form. And I picked humor. I mean, how can I lie if I find something humorous? How can I lie to myself about that. That has to be a genuine and clearer emotion.
What do you find humorous? Some people find some poor schmuck getting a hot foot to be humorous. How many people in the history of the United States have laughed when somebody is handed an exploding cigar? So humor tends to be a bit subjective. You're not saying anything, Jonathan.
Yes, I know where you're coming from. And I think the state that I'm really looking for is a state where I can choose to feel the emotion or not, and be content either way with the outcome. Well, let me give you an example. I was listening to an audiobook a couple of days ago, and it was in a very emotionally charged section about a woman giving birth, and she could die as a result, or the baby could die, or they could both die, and the husband and the family would die. You know, really typical drama, charged emotional section of the book. And I was swept away with the emotion of it. And I was having a good time. And I actually tried, and I thought about, well, I should try practicing being aware of my awareness. One of the rare occasions I caught myself actually trying to do an exercise listening to this audiobook in an emotional state. And every time that I became aware of myself being emotional, it killed the emotion. And my pleasure diminished. And when I stopped doing that, I got back into the experience of the sadness and the drama of the book. And then I went back into observing myself, and it killed the emotion and the pleasure. So something's going on there.
Yes, and it may or may not have anything to do with meaning.
It's an interesting phenomenon, yes.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that. It may not have anything to do, as Mushtak said, may or may not have anything to do specifically with meaning, but nonetheless, I think that was probably a useful activity for you.
Yeah. And we have a couple of questions that we need to acknowledge here.
We do, yes. I will start with Cherie's. Cherie asks, do we only have meaning in relation to other people?
I don't think so. I think we can have meaning just in relation to ourselves in the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree
That's
with
my personal opinion on it. But this is one of those things where you don't want to take my word for it. Figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's worth contemplating. I do tend to agree with you, Mushtak, because this does, at least in my experience does not always have to be in relation to other people, but, you know, try it on.
Yeah. And for some people, that might be the absolute truth.
Right.
And we can't
Yeah.
forget that.
Yes.
Because remember, meaning starts out as personal.
Mm-hmm.
Then Mustaqim has a question here.
Yes, Mr. Keem asks, if the universe has no meaning, it just is, could we also just be and have no meaning?
And the answer to that is absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
There is a point in human evolution, personal evolution, where the need for meaning disappears. Most people who hit that point will turn around and come back a step or two to where they can have meaning if they want to spend time participating in the life of this planet.
Yeah. And
But at the point of pure non-dual awareness, there is no need for meaning.
I've had some interesting meditations on having no meaning, and when I was less experienced and less mature, it was pretty frightening, actually. But, you know, not that I would claim being a highly evolved creature per se, but I feel a lot less terrified by the prospect now than I may have 4 years ago, let's say. And yet, I still find it worthwhile to act as if my life had meaning. Let's put it that way. Whether it does or does not, as Mushtak said, you can take some steps back from that intentionally and decide.
Yeah, it's very much the difference between a Buddha and a Bodhisattva. They make a very nice distinction for that. A Buddha allows his or herself to dissolve into nirvana. Nirvana means extinction. You dissolve back into the one, and there is no need for meaning at that point. A bodhisattva says, okay, I could do that. I have reached the place where I can touch the non-dual awareness, and I'm going to hang around because it would sure be fun to get a whole bunch of other people doing this too.
Mm.
And so that becomes their meaning.
Yep.
Does that
Alright.
make sense, Mustaqim?
Yes. Yay.
Good.
2 thumbs up. Excellent. Okay, so Sydney asks, so then, is the true meaning we create or find for ourselves discovered with all 3 centers? These are the centers in the Gurdjieffian work. So
Yeah.
moving, emotional, mental, utilizing all of these and discovering our meaning through these 3 in symphony.
And the answer is, I'm pretty convinced that that's the case. At least that's my personal experience. And this goes into the idea of the 4th way, or the way of the sly man, or the way of the dervish, as I like to think of it, which is you work on all 3 while being in the world. You know, this is the khalwat daranjuman, the solitude in the crowd. To be inwardly focused on your work and focused on your meaning and focused on your connection with the unity, and outwardly dealing with your life. Does that make sense, Sydney?
2 more thumbs up. Yay. Yeah. I mean, I think this kind of ties back to what Dave was saying about feeling it in his body when he was in line with what his meaning is for him. And so that means there's this sense of symphony, as Sydney described it. A sense
which is a
of things
perfect
making
word for
sense
it.
together. Yeah, I love that. It's a great word. Harmoniousness, even. Not that the struggle isn't real, because it often is in pursuing one's meaning. But that doesn't negate this feeling of symphony when you are moving towards your aim.
So, the thing about meaning is that oftentimes we get tricked into thinking that somehow we have no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you face the experience of nihilism for the first time, or nihilism as they say here in America, you become overwhelmed by it. You become overwhelmed by the meaninglessness of the universe. And you don't realize that you are in fact the meaning-making organ of the universe, and it's your job, if you find that there is no meaning, to make some.
Yes, that is what I was talking about just a couple minutes ago. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that terror could be paralyzing. That could really cut your life right then and there, really. And as we're suggesting, there's no need for that. You know, you can experience that fear, acknowledge it, of course, and then think, okay, how can I be responsible for myself, as I often like to say? How can I take that on and create meaning, at least for myself, where there appears to be none?
Yeah, and basically, you have 3 choices on what to do when you come to that nihilistic point. You can, 1, kill yourself. We don't recommend this. This is, but it's a valid choice. 2, you can anesthetize yourself. This is the most common choice when people confront the utter meaninglessness of existence, is to do whatever they can to anesthetize themselves from that experience. 3, you make meaning. You could say you discover meaning, and that's okay to say it that way too. But the fact of the matter is that meaning becomes intentional. Hence the root meaning of meaning has to do with intention. Meaning is intentional.
Question.
Yes, please.
What's anesthetize mean?
That means to knock yourself out. Think of somebody who has bumped up against reality a little too hard, and they go off and they get drunk.
Yeah.
Or they find some really groovy substances like the juice of the poppy, and they use it over and over again so that they never have to experience that sense of void.
Sometimes it's as simple as binging Netflix nonstop for a whole pandemic, you know? Some of us may have done that, continue to do that.
Yeah, it is anything that can put you into the waking trance. And one of the big realizations that you have to have is that most of humanity, most of the time, is in a trance. They are hypnotized. And that you can wake up from that trance. But you have to realize that when you do, it's very much like waking up from the Matrix. Again, I return to the first of the movies in the Matrix trilogy because it was a perfect example of the problem. Here you are, you're in the Matrix, and you don't know you're in the Matrix. And then one day, for no apparent reason, some dude in sunglasses and in a pretty groovy coat shows up and offers you the red pill, and you take it. And the next thing you know, you're out of the Matrix, and you're in this rust bucket of a hovercraft, and we're having problems. At least I'm having problems. Can anybody see me?
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem. Yep.
Okay. For some reason, my camera is not showing me.
Well,
But if you
still
guys can
moving.
see me, I'll carry it on. So anyway, you drop out of the Matrix, and life is pretty damn boring. And you're stuck there. And some people, like in the movie, want to get back into the Matrix. They want to go back to sleep. They desperately want to go back to sleep. Noor, are you still picking me up?
I am. Yep.
Yeah. There's something is wacky on this end. I show like no connection to anyone or anything.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
since I'm a host,
Yeah, if you can
do
check
you
and
want
see
to
if
log
any.
in? Log out and log back in?
I think that we will lose it because I'm the main host. So if I do that, everybody is going to
Get
kind of
booted.
disappear. And I can't change you to the main host because, yeah. Yeah, there's a glitch in the program.
Well, in any case,
There's a glitch in the Matrix.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. So, everyone is still here. Everyone is still working, including you.
Okay. Then I'm just going to have to rely on you to be my eyes, which we're already practiced with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We do have a comment from Dave.
Yes.
Dave says that centers can indeed be harmonized tends to lend the potential of there being a hidden meaning. That which leads to harmony for you personally is in line with the cosmic meaning. We lost him, you guys. Let's see. What do we have there, Dave? What is that? That is so creepy looking. Ooh, is that candy? Are you gonna share it with the class?
No, it's for me. My daughter gave me sherbet for some reason.
Oh, yum! I love those. Okay.
Haven't had it in years.
Alright, let me just check with Mush Talk real quick. I will be right back momentarily.
My screen is blank. For me? Yeah, I am not surprised. The thing that I'm worried about is that if I log out, it will boot everyone, and this may not be picking up the recording. I think we should probably wrap this up.
All right. You want me to just apologize and say?
Yeah, well, just do a regular wrap up.
Okay.
Because right now I'm not even getting anybody.
Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you now. all of a
Okay,
sudden.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Connective difficulties, everyone. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your patience. Yeah. Sydney can hear you as well.
But nobody can see me.
No. We're just seeing the 9-sided circle logo.
Damn.
Well, this doesn't happen in a regular thing, so we'll just consider it a fluke.
Yep. And we should probably wrap this up since everything is going to hell, and it's probably not recording the video on the.
Yeah. Well, it actually
recording.
says it's still recording, but it remains to be seen whether it's recording on your end. So.
Yeah, that's the problem because it should be
Yeah.
recording my
Okay.
camera.
Right. All right, everyone. Well, we are so happy to have you guys here, and thank you for joining us. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Keem. Not allowed to talk about the Matrix. I feel like this has happened to us before. Like,
Yeah,
whenever we
it's
start
pretty
talking
much
about
this.
it's pretty funny. So, you know, the glitches are happening, and we acknowledge that. And we can just take that as a sign that, frankly, this is the kind of stuff we need to be doing to challenge whatever it is that's going on. Spooky, spooky. And just remember that, you know, just because we don't know what the universe's meaning is doesn't mean that we cannot create our own or discover our own. And
Because if you discover your own, that's what the universe's meaning is.
yeah, essentially. So, why don't we wrap up on that note, Mushtak?
All right. Everybody, thank you for coming, and hopefully we will see you next week and things will be better.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Take good care.
Bye.
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 Nora, can you end the meeting from your end?
Sure. Bye, guys. Take good care. See you next week.